pocket we're talking about is a welt. So there are so many pockets. If you really love pockets, go and have a look in some of your books, pattern cutting books, to see what beauties there are out there. So a welt pocket is just one bit that stands up. More often than not, it's top stitched down the edge like that, and your hand goes in here. So where you see them a lot on jackets is, if I just do a quick, sorry, please excuse this being a bit potentially rubbish. Okay, so that's your front of your jacket. Often you'll get a welt pocket here, or it might be at an angle like that. Okay, so I think that what we'll do now, the pattern that I show you, because I have samples of one being sewn, is we're going to do a pocket that's at an angle. So they don't just happen there. On overcoats they can happen popping out of a seam further down. They can also be an angle here. So there's a beautiful design, pockets all over the place, but yes, they can go anywhere, and much like the jetted pocket, you can put them anywhere, because essentially you're going to be cutting a hole in the garment to make this pocket happen. Okay, so as a starting point, decide what you would like your welt to look like, decide what size you're going to have your welt. Now I'm going to have this one at an angle. Let me do this in a colour that you might be able to see more easily, always remembering that you're going to be using a nice fine pencil. Okay, so I'm going to drop this down. I'm going to do it back 13 centimetres, and I'm going to have it come straight up, and I'm going to have the welt be how deep? That's 3.5 centimetres. I'm going to make it 4 centimetres. There you go. So that's what my welt pocket's going to look like. This is how it's going to be stitched. So much like when I showed you the jetted pocket, that's not the pattern yet. This just is what the pocket's going to look like, and it gives us a starting point for how we're going to cut the pattern for the pocket bag. Usually with the welt you don't need a facing, so it's a sort of a simpler process than the one that we've just done. Just looking for a pen that's a colour I like and that you'll be able to see. I think that was too thin. I like a red pen. Okay, so pocket bag. If this is the sewing line for the jet, I'm going to want to come up 1 centimetre, and I'm going to want to come out by 1.5 as a minimum, and 1.5 as a minimum, and that's going to be the width of my pocket bag, including the seam allowance, so it'll be being sewn here. Okay, so this pocket I'm saying is definitely not going to be one that you're going to keep a book in or a sandwich. Might keep a mobile in it, but if it was a gentleman's jacket he would probably just be keeping a hanky in it. And usually, even if I cut a pocket square, I would expect this to be stitched with a curve. If you want to, you can cut your pocket bag curved. I tend not to cut them square, so I'm curved. Okay, so that is the line of our pocket bag. Now we can make our pattern pieces, because we know what's going to be happening on the outside, we know what's going to be happening internally. Let's do the welt first. So I'm going to trace off the shape that is the design. And I'm going to fold that, because I want to fold along the top half. And my paper, I've done it in a wrong position. I'm going to have to sellotape some paper on underneath. Can you see the way it's gone over that line? Never mind, that's what sellotape's for, isn't it? Okay, that's that with enough paper. So I'm going to add its seam allowance on, and I'm just going to give it a centimetre all the way around that which is not the fold. Great. And I'm going to cut around this. So that's a pattern piece, and I'm going to open it out so you can see that it now makes like an arrow shape. You've got decisions to make here about where your grain might be. I would say if this were a striped jacket, you would probably want your stripes going straight up through your jet, so your grain line would run parallel with those lines. This is, it's not a jet, sorry, it's a welt. So welt, you're gonna cut as many as you want. I'm gonna say you're gonna cut one. Fabric, and you would do well to stay flex this or fuse, whichever, plus stay flex or fuse, same thing. Okay, so that is the pattern for this. Then we need the pocket bag. And we're going to cut the pocket bag in two separate pieces rather than on a fold, just because that is your other option. You don't have to have a fold. You can have two separate pieces. Now these are going to sew in slightly different areas. So if I have this one, which is being sewn at the same line as the welt, I want another one that's about 1 centimetre longer. So I'm going to say pocket bag, and I'm going to call it the front pocket bag because it's the one that sits nearest us. Cut one. I'm still assuming we're just having one of these pockets in pocketing. One pocket piece that has its seam allowance included, and then I'm going to trace this off again because this is going to become the back pocket bag, which needs to be about 1 centimetre longer. Now this will become apparent why this has to happen when we do the sewing it together. So this is the back pocket bag, and we're going to cut one for pocketing. Those are your pattern pieces. How they get used we'll deal with when we do how they're going to get sewn together. Film that tomorrow.